The Star Ocean series has had one of the craziest journeys in JRPG history. So today, we're ranking every main Star Ocean game from worst to very best. And I just know there's going to be someone out there who disagrees with me, especially my top 3. I've been playing Star Ocean since I was way too young to understand just what a private action was, how to exploit the item crafting system, or honestly the intricacies of the plot half the time. But across the years, it's become one of my favorite series of all time. I love how ambitious it is, the focused sci-fi in a world full of medieval RPGs, and its willingness to try weird ideas. It really set it apart from other JRPGs of its era. So today I want to talk about what makes each game special, even the messy ones. If you love Star Ocean and other RPGs, make sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and I'd love to hear where you rank your Star Ocean games, because trust me, Star Ocean fans never agree, and that's what makes this community great. So with that being said, let's jump right on into today's ranking of all 8 Star Ocean games from worst to very best. Starting off with the worst game in the series, we have Star Ocean Anamnesis, the mobile gacha multiplayer real-time RPG that launched in 2016 and shut down in 2021. And to be fair, Anamnesis wasn't bad by any means necessary. In fact, it's one of the few gacha games I enjoy. It honestly had one of the most fun combat systems out of any mobile RPG at the time. The animations were surprisingly flashy, the character models, they look great, and the idea of being able to summon characters from across the entire Star Ocean series was a dream come true for longtime fans. But as with most gacha titles, the grind eventually wrote the story for its own demise. When that honeymoon period ended, what was left was a loop of banners, time-limited events, and that creeping feeling of, I'm only coming back to this because I'm already in waist deep and I'm too far to quit. It was a very fun game and I absolutely loved my time with it. And if Square Enix and Trice suddenly turned around and offered an offline version, I would dive headfirst into that game without a second thought. And while we're talking about mobile, very quickly, let's talk about Star Ocean Material Trader, the other Japan-exclusive mobile title. Where Anamnesis was graphically superior and offered much deeper gameplay, Material Trader was more of a micro-game resource cycle. It's a cute idea, but it wasn't that memorable, it came and went. I didn't actually get the opportunity to play it, but honestly now looking at what the game was, I don't think I missed very much. These mobile entries are interesting artifacts in Star Ocean history and deserve to be mentioned when talking about Star Ocean, but honestly they aren't why the series means something to us. Next, we have Star Ocean Blue Sphere, a 2001 Game Boy Color sequel to Star Ocean 2 that almost nobody outside Japan played officially. However, luckily there was a full fan translation release, so at least that's something. But it's a tragedy that it never got a localization because Blue Sphere is actually charming in a way most handheld RPGs from the time weren't trying to be. The combat system attempted real-time action with positional play on an 8-bit screen, kinda like classic tales such as Tales of Fantasia and Tales of Destiny. And while it's rough, it's also incredibly impressive for the hardware. The story continues the adventures of Claude and Raina's crew, which alone makes this a must-play experience for fans of the second story. Which, don't worry, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the pacing of it can feel uneven and the world feels smaller and more linear compared to the mainline games. That being said, it is still way more fun than people give it credit for. However, it places relatively low on the list due to the fact that this is only for people who absolutely adored Star Ocean 2. Because if you didn't play Star Ocean 2, you probably won't get much out of Blue Sphere. Blue Sphere is not an essential Star Ocean, but it's an important Star Ocean. Star Ocean 2 had such a good story with great characters. There's a reason it's most people's favorite game in the series. And honestly, if you're a fan of Second Story, it's absolutely worth seeking out a translation and giving Blue Sphere a playthrough. It's just the perfect kind of game and is worth playing if you grew up with the Star Ocean series and want that blast of nostalgia while playing something entirely new. Oh boy. Okay. Star Ocean Integrity and Faithlessness is the game where I think Trice wanted to make something bold, streamlined, and cinematic, but it ended up with something that felt unfinished. The idea of seamless combat transitions is cool. What about having your entire party present in cutscenes? It's incredibly innovative. The idea of scaling down the world and focusing on one planet to tell a tighter narrative? Who thought that was a good idea? Seriously, Square Enix, think about it. What do you think the concept of Star Ocean even is? Star Ocean is secretly an ocean of stars. You know, space. The great unknown. A Star Ocean game without space travel? Come on. But even without the universal travel, this game had some of the most atrocious execution when it came to the Star Ocean series. Star Ocean 5 feels like someone took the script and ripped out entire scenes. Characters don't get any time to breathe emotionally. Those dramatic moments just kind of happen and then the game moves on. Seriously, integrity and faithlessness is over before you even realize it. Even if you try to do everything, including post-game, you'll be lucky to even hit 35 to 40 hours. And don't even get me started on those automatic cutscene triggers while you're just trying to walk around a room. There were countless moments where a big important cutscene was happening, but I didn't realize it, because the way it's executed just makes it feel as if it's a casual banter between the characters when moving from one part of the town to the other. It really killed off the whole emotional oomph the cutscene should have had. But here's the thing, and I mean this sincerely. The combat is fun. Some of the most fast-paced in the series. And I love that you don't have to pick between party because everybody is in combat all at once. The music is great. The setting and core ideas, they were genuinely strong. Though I wish they had a couple more planets, and I really wish the game was a bit longer. Integrity and faithlessness is commonly mentioned as being the worst game in the franchise, and that's with good reason. But it's one that was trying to push the series forward, even if it didn't do it properly, and I respect it for that. But it fails in far too many aspects, and in the end, that makes it feel lackluster as a whole, and just not a good experience.
Target sighted.
Star Ocean: The Divine Force was such a nice breath of fresh air after the walking accident that was integrity and faithlessness. The moment I started flying around the environments, I realized Trice is back, and what made me fall in love with the series had returned. The Divine Force finally nailed one of the defining strengths of the series, that explorative freedom, free fancy movement, and most importantly, a sense of space exploration, which you would think would be commonplace in a game series literally called Star Ocean. The Divine Force is one of the most fun combat systems in the entire franchise. It's incredibly fast-paced, some actual tactical thought processes involved, and it's insanely energetic with all of the options you have in battle. Switching between characters actually feels impactful. The meeting of sci-fi and fantasy, it finally feels properly balanced again. But unfortunately, Star Ocean: The Divine Force was held back by production values, and I don't mean that as an insult. Trice was struggling financially, and this game came out at that point where Square Enix was releasing game after game, hoping that something would land. It launched almost back to back with Valkyrie Elysium. Ugh, I don't want to talk about that game. But anyways, the DioField Chronicle, and various Day Life, amongst so many other games. The environments of the Divine Force are beautiful in structure, but at the same time, they feel incredibly flat. The character animations are stiff in cutscenes, and the models have this weird plastic doll look that feels incredibly uneasy to look at. And the story pacing feels okay, but there's certain moments where it's just rushed. It's very unbalanced, sadly, which is a shame because it could have been so much more. But the combat and character dynamics, they're downright fantastic. Maybe not the best in the series, but they are definitely serviceable. Spend some time with the Divine Force, and you'll appreciate it the more you play it. The Last Hope is one of, if not the very most controversial in the franchise, and honestly, I get why. The dialogue can be melodramatic, the characters feel exaggerated, and yes, we all remember literally every single scene with Limmel. You can deny them all you want, but let's not pretend like they never happened. Kay?
Now, don't rush me, Kay.
But with all of those annoying cutscenes, this game had one of the best battle systems of its generation. The blindside mechanic is satisfying every time you pull it off. That slow motion dodge mechanic or John Woo style front flip over the enemy is just stylish. The interstellar travel is amazing. The soundtrack, some of Motoi Sakuraba's most atmospheric sci-fi soundtracks with some of the best battle themes ever. Blood on the Keys is an absolute bop. It never gets old. Not to mention the remixes of the classic Star Ocean battle themes. Motoi Sakuraba is amazing with everything he does, but Star Ocean 4 takes it to a whole new level. Though graphically, while it was a huge step up from Star Ocean 3, it still maintains that weird plastic doll look, especially on the Xbox 360. It started to look a little bit better on the international PlayStation 3 release, and more so on the 4K and HD remaster version. It's still a bit rough, but it's not the worst thing under the sun. But The Last Hope does something very few JRPGs attempt. As canonically the first game in the timeline, it explores the origin of humanity in the Star Ocean universe with sincerity. It might be clumsy, but who cares? It's a dang good time. And that counts for more than you might think. Are you enjoying this ranking of Star Ocean so far? If so, don't forget to like the video and hit that subscribe button as we jump into an unpredictable top 3.
Dragon Roar! Dragon Roar!
Raise dead!
Where the series began, the very first game. Star Ocean was initially released on the Super Famicom, and the original Trice team was founded by former members of Wolf Team, who worked on Tales of Fantasia, which is why the two games look and feel incredibly familiar. Though I'll be completely honest, I have not played all the way through the original release, partially because we didn't get the original in North America and I didn't have a PC capable of emulating when I was a young kid. I really jumped into this game with the first remake, First Departure, on the PSP. Star Ocean is a game that feels like opening a time capsule to what made early JRPGs special. It's simple, with a great item crafting system. It's an absolute classic to 90s JRPGs, and I say that in a very positive way. You can tell that this game is a precursor to the series, and a lot of the concepts of this game needed to be ironed out. But for the first game in what was to become an incredibly long-running series, it's a great game. The pacing of First Departure is breezy. It's quick and snappy. Honestly, I love when games are like that. I'm not one who loves long, drawn-out cutscenes, so Star Ocean does it just perfect. The party interactions are charming and are very clearly inspired by Tales of Fantasia, but that isn't a complaint. I love Tales of Fantasia, so seeing this was wonderful. The environments are super nostalgic in that SNES to PSP, but still kinda 2D kinda way. Sure, the game is short, and in some ways it absolutely feels dated, especially with those one-time dungeons, but First Departure is where this beautiful and fantastic series started from, and it set a foundation to build one of the greatest JRPG series of all time. And honestly, that's all that matters sometimes.
My guard down.
Would you look at that? The one game in the Star Ocean franchise that has one of the most divisive plot twists in history. I'll do my best not to spoil it, but this plot twist is probably one of the most despised things in this entire franchise. Some hate it even more than integrity and faithlessness, and that's really saying something. I didn't think it was all that bad, but some people passionately hate it. Whether you love or hate it, Star Ocean Till the End of Time is the moment the franchise decided to go absolutely bonkers. Till the End of Time is the game that reaches too far in the best and worst ways. The battle system is incredibly odd and strange with its Fury system, as well as being able to have your character KO'd by either draining your HP or MP. The dungeons are dense and confusing. I got lost so many times trying to play through this game. It definitely doesn't help that the PlayStation 4 port of this game crashes left and right whenever you want to use the full screen map. But the ambition of this game was, in a word, astronomical. Like I said, I won't spoil the plot twist for anyone who hasn't played the game yet. However, it's the kind of plot twist that makes you reconsider the entire Star Ocean universe, and possibly your own universe by extension. That is the sign of good storytelling. It was a very bold decision, and it either worked out or ruined the whole franchise, depending on how you view the plot twist. And even if you don't like the twist, I respect that Star Ocean Till the End of Time was willing to take such a risky step. That is what makes Trice so amazing. They know that their risks will always end up standing the test of time and be talked about for decades to come. This channel and this video is proof of that.
How about air slash? Got you.
Let's be honest. This is not a surprise in the least. Star Ocean 2 is one of the finest JRPGs ever made, and that is not an exaggeration. The battle system is crisp, The original voice acting is just hilariously bad. I don't mean that as a bad thing. It's classic. As well as ways to completely break open the game using item creation. That is what makes Star Ocean series as great as it is. You don't have to use the item creation system, but if you want to use it and fully learn it, you can become so powerful that you end up destroying bosses in a single hit. Or you can just basically cheat your level up to level 100. Want infinite money? That's also possible. What the remakes Second Evolution and Second Story are, it took everything that made the original as amazing as it was and increased it tenfold. The pacing was better. The world building felt more in depth. The private actions made you really care about your party members. Most importantly, the exploration in Star Ocean 2 is second to none when it comes to the franchise. The battle system is fast, strategic, and that gets even crazier with Star Ocean Second Story R, allowing you to summon characters from across the entire Star Ocean franchise. And using those battle skills feels amazing. I could go on and on about how beautiful the Star Ocean series is, and Star Ocean 2 was the game that actually introduced me to Trice and made me fall in love with some of the best games I've ever played in my 30 plus years of gaming. This is a game you will lose yourself in. Not because of its reputation, but instead of how it welcomes you into this sprawling, exciting world. Star Ocean 2 isn't just the best Star Ocean game, it's one of the best JRPGs ever created, and you will still hear this from people to this day. And trust me, they aren't just saying that, it is the absolute truth. Star Ocean 2 is the JRPG that makes JRPGs worth loving. So that's my ranking of every Star Ocean game, but now I want to see yours. Drop your list in the comments, especially your top 3. Because I swear, Star Ocean fans could debate this forever and ever and still not agree. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking the video and subscribing for more JRPG content. It really helps the channel grow. This has been Shinky, thanks so much for watching, and until the next one, have a wonderful day.